Next, an issue that's likely to affect all of us in one way or another. How do we care for our growing elderly population? The squeeze on councils means that they're having to look back at the cuts and the provision they're having to make for elderly care. Well, this week, Leicester City Council became the latest to announce big changes, selling off half of its homes and closing the rest. Our political reporter, Tim Parker's been taking a look at the challenges facing councils.
Do you want to come and visit one of the residents?
I do.
It's becoming a rare sight. Residents in an elderly person's home owned by their local authority.
Hello, Frida.
But the people living here are pretty happy with how things are run now.
The food's all right. At night time I've got my telly and a phone, you see, so I'm not wanting for anything.
It's as good as being at home because you're so well looked after. They're very good to us, they're very kind, and the food's beautiful. So what more could you want? I mean, when you're on your own, you realise how much these sort of places are and how much you really like it.
This is Castle Court in Castle Gresley in South Derbyshire, one of 26 elderly persons' homes still operated by Derbyshire County Council.
But across the East Midlands, the trend's been to sell homes to private operators. This week, Leicester City Council's the latest to announce the sale or closure of all 8 of its homes.
We're in tough times, and tough times mean tough decisions. That doesn't mean that we have to stop caring. That doesn't mean that we don't do the work with commitment and compassion. But it does mean that in the short term, there are changes that are hard for people to come to terms with.
OK, then Tim, just over here.
Thank you.
Leicestershire County Council completed the sale of all of its elderly persons' homes earlier this year.
We're the same as most county councils. Years ago we had a lot, and in my time the maximum we've ever owned is 20. We are now entirely privately operated.
That's my mum. Okay. When she was a nurse, probably about 40 years ago.
John Wright's mum has been in Castle Court Home, run by Derbyshire County Council, for 2 years. He says he'd be concerned if politicians decided to sell it off.
Profit shouldn't be the overriding factor. Running a business and to make money out of elderly care, I don't believe should be the dominating factor. The care and compassion has to come first, in my view.
It's a message not lost on councillors, but for most, balancing the budgets is now a bigger priority.
And with so many of your neighbouring authorities selling off their care homes, how long can Derbyshire hold off?
Well, the 2 ways of looking at dealing with the financial situation councils are in. We can either just shrink and shrink and shrink the services we've got until there's nothing left, or sell them off, or we can reinvent what we do and how we do it. In the 6 months we've been in control at the County Council, we've started talking to partners like the NHS in the county, talking to them about what they need in terms of helping to prevent older people ending up in hospital wards.
But aren't other local authorities doing that as well?
Well, they may well be, but our priority is what the people of Derbyshire told us, and they've told us loud and clear over many years now that they get a huge sense of reassurance and confidence from knowing that a care home is council run, because of the quality of care, because of the supervision and training that the staff get, and also because it's accountable. If something is wrong, they know they can take it to the council and it will be dealt with.
OK, the politics of this bill obviously is, this is happening on your watch. Liberal Democrats are in government. So, is it accepted by the Liberal Democrats, the rank and file in places like Derbyshire?
No, we're very, very worried, just like Anne. It's actually a European problem in that the populations all over Europe are getting older. We're all getting older, we're not having enough youngsters. So the problem we have today is going to be bigger in 5, 10, 20 years' time than now.
But it needs paying for.
Well, exactly, and we're going to need to find the money. If you look at Sweden, which is probably the best run country in Europe, they have far higher taxation and they pay for it that way. In the UK, that's difficult to achieve in the short term. So the Lib Dems would say, abolish Trident. That would save us an enormous amount of money. The Lib Dems are in favour of that, but unfortunately...
But Nick Clegg's not in favour of that, is he? I mean, he's not going to be arguing for that in Cabinet.
I won't speak for him privately, but as a coalition, he has to make a compromise with Cameron. But the Lib Dems would abolish Trident, and my other hobby horse, we could save a fortune for the country and the government by fighting international crime.
OK, and let's just talk very briefly about money. It costs, what, £19 million to run your county council homes. Overall elderly costs in Derbyshire is £72 million. million. Now that's a big budget that surely is going to come under pressure, especially when the Prime Minister the other week was saying that any increases in cuts were relatively modest.
Yeah, I mean, just to say, we're trying to prioritise the care services, whether it's older people, disabled people or children in the county. We want to invest in prevention as well, so we can support people in their own homes for longer, so that they don't have to go into residential care. But if they need to, we want to give people the choice that they can choose a council home if they want that. As regards David Cameron, I think he's playing with numbers with this, because
playing with fire, you were saying.
Playing with numbers. And this is not just me as a Labour council leader. There are Conservative council leaders up and down the country arguing the case with David Cameron,
So we're going to have to end it there, I'm afraid.